Welcome back to Gig Harbor Paddling. Today is our 10th annual Paddlers Cup. We're gonna do our 2.5K, our 5K, and our 10K. We have a 2.5K loop, and so if you're a 10K, you're doing 4 loops of that. And then later in the afternoon, we're gonna do our sprint knockoffs. We separate paddlers into men kayak, men canoe, women kayak, women canoe, and men and women stand-up paddleboard. And what they're gonna do is sprint about 100 meters. We take away 1/4 of the crowd, and then only the left are remaining. They race again until 1/4 is taken away again, and then they just keep going, kind of last man standing, so to speak, and it's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Coach Allison. This is Bob Platt.
This is Coach Sadie.
And we are going to give you a little commentary on this race. I've learned over the past couple years about this, but Coach Sadie, you seem to be the expert in canoe and kayak. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, I'm excited.
So the first race we have is a 10K coming up here, and as you can see, we have some paddlers getting ready. What's it like to be out there getting ready for this race, waiting for, how long are they there waiting for the start of the race?
Yeah, they should be there, any good athletes there, 2 hours before their race. They've done a double warm-up. They've ate, drank, slept for this race, and now we're getting lined up for the 10K. It's nerve-wracking. You start lining up based on how hard the start's gonna be. So you'll see this front pack here. We're on one of the fastest paddlers in the nation, and he's securing his spot in the front here. Everyone behind him is in that front pack, and we'll see in a wider shot how the slower kids will line up at the back as to avoid the wake, and the fast kids want to be where the action is, so they push that line.
What if you're in the middle? How do you decide where to go? Do you go towards the front or towards the back? How do they just all know how fast everybody is?
The middle's where the weak ones go.
Oh, really?
Okay. No. The middle's a hard place to be because you're in the middle of the wake and you can't fall in. So oftentimes I'll see 2 pairs of people in the middle. We'll see the fast ones trying to get their way to the top and the slow ones that got forced forward.
Well, looks like they're about to start here, and they all go at the same time, don't they? Look at that. And they're taking off, and it's Jonas, I believe, out in front, isn't it, that we have a camera on his boat. Is that his name?
Yep,
Jonas?
that's Jonas Ecker from Bellingham. He's one of the best athletes right now in kayak, and he is just a sweetie.
And he does amazing. We appreciate him putting the camera on the back of the boat there. And he's taken off here. Now, this race course has few turns. I think they're coming up on the first turn here. Is that right?
Yep. We try not to make them super drastic turns, so we'll see that there's a 3 buoy turn to make sure that they're not having to do a 180 on the water.
Right, I think last year they had a few of those 90-degree turns. And
They did.
It gets a little sketchy, right? In
yeah.
that turn. So you can see, who's this? Aaron coming up next to him. Aaron Small, is that right?
Yeah, that's Aaron Small on the right, and we'll see in just a few seconds the K2 from Gig Harbor coming in, and we'll see behind them Finn Connell, I believe. They're forming that front pack. They're riding the wash, so you'll see off of Jonas's boat, they are all using the wake produced by his boat to push themselves forward. So Jonas is really having the power in that position, and they're leading that race.
So is that like drafting in race cars where the first boat goes fastest and the rest benefit from that? Is that how that works?
Similar but different reason. The wake creates a wave, and you want to be on the down wave, so you want to be racing downhill.
Okay.
So we'll see as the race forms, more groups will form and more smaller packs will grow.
Okay, so is it typically like 3 or 4 boats? You can see a few boats there together. Now what can be tricky, I think, is as these boats start passing other boats, how do they navigate around boats that are, say, going slower if they start lapping them? How does that work?
Well, that's really exciting because it depends. If you want to get away from your group, you can wait until there's another group or interference and try and leave them behind. You can decide if you want to try and leave your group. This is, of course, the first lap of the race, so everyone's the race hasn't begun for these fast paddlers yet. What we start seeing as the race gets into the deep end here, groups start breaking up, the race really begins.
Okay, so this is just the very beginning for them. And how long is typical? This is a 10K race, so what is that, like an hour, or how long is that usually?
Well, for our younger paddlers, an hour would be about right. For them, they could be doing this in 45 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so I do know that they can lap people at times.
Oh, yes.
That gets a little tricky. because of the wake, they produce a lot of wake, and then some of the slower paddlers have to kind of let them go by and try not fall in, right?
It's brutal. That's why we have so many laps. It's for onlookers to watch and laugh.
Yeah. So yeah, this looks great. These guys are doing a great job here. It's a lot, super endurance at 10K. They have to just go at this pace for 45 minutes straight. That's hard work. So there's a lot of other groups out there. There's canoes. There's a, like you can see there was a K2. That's a 2-person kayak. There's stand-up paddlers. I can see right there. There's how does that work with the stand-up paddler and these kayaks that are going so fast? I'm sure they get bounced around quite a bit.
Yeah, but they're tough. They come out every year. We actually have the largest stand-up paddleboard community with us at Paddlers Cup this year, and so it's really cool to see everyone out on the water.
That's right. Speaking of which, that's a good segue. We're going right into our 100-meter knockoffs here. We've got first group is the stand-up paddlers. These guys are awesome. I think it is about twice as many stand-up paddlers this year from last year. This is a growing sport. I think they really enjoy coming out and doing this. The core work on these guys is unbelievable to what they have to do. So as you can see, this is now round 2 of stand-up paddling. I think we did 3 or 4 rounds for these guys, and they just keep knocking off the slower of the group. So some of these guys have really, you can see they have the sprint stand-up paddlers. These are not like recreational thing you can go buy at Costco or whatever. So have you ever done this, Sadie?
I have. When I was little, I would do the stand-up paddleboards and do my best to try and beat the oldies, but this is way past my level.
Yeah. So there we go. Christian Oliver looks like he came in first. Good job, Christian. And now we're going straight into women's canoe, round 1. And we have what's the age group range here for women's canoe?
Well, on our team we have people from 8 to 80 who are welcome to join canoe, but in this race we'll see athletes as young as 12 and as old as 20 in their young 20s.
Yeah, I think there's a couple there that are going on to the Olympic hopeful and some international canoeists. Am I saying that right? Canoeists? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So I think the out in front there, in fact, there you go, final round. Who's that out in front? That has got to be Andy, right? Yeah, I think that's Andy out in front, Emma, and
Azusa from Seattle.
Azusa. Let's see who's 1, 2, and 3 here. Andy, Emma, Azusa. Yes. So those are some fast times, and that goes right into men's canoe. Looks like we have a canoer there with what kind of canoe is that? I don't recognize.
So the one closest to us is an alumni of the team. He's an old paddler and he wanted to get in a boat, so he just jumped into one of our training boats actually. So that's Hayden Tiemann with the Gig Harbor jersey. A lot of the paddlers we'll see are from Gig Harbor. We have the biggest canoeists in the nation, and so a lot of our competition comes from within the team.
Yeah, and no surprise there, Weston comes in first. Weston is very good, very fast. All right, now we've got the women's kayak first round, and we have quite a few Gig Harbor kayakers in there, don't we?
Yes, we have a good number of kayakers in there, but we see a lot of kids from Seattle and Bellingham also joining us, which is great.
Speaking of Bellingham, I think they have a pretty great kayak program there, don't they?
They do. Their women's kayak has always been stellar. We saw earlier Jonas Ecker from Bellingham. The Scoggin girls are also some of the best kayak women in the nation, and they'll be racing in these knockoffs today.
Yeah, I think they're the sisters, right? They're a couple years apart, and I think I see one of them out there in front on round 3 here.
Yes, they're the ones to be. We'll see in the earlier rounds, they know to reserve themselves because they want to be in that top bunch. So the slower ones are going hard in the early knockoffs not to be knocked out. The fast ones are actually going quite slow to keep their energy up.
Look at this, holy smokes, that is fast. And she comes in, that's a Scoggins sister. So it's Abby, Lana is from Gig Harbor, and then another Scoggins girl.
And another Scoggins.
Yeah.
They'll get you.
So the men's kayak was kind of crazy, right? I mean, how many of these guys are there in this knockout?
Oh, I'm not even sure. They're 30 something.
So,
yeah, we had a great showing. Men's kayak is always the most full group. We have a lot of men's kayakers, so it's really fun to watch their races.
There's so many of them. So I think one of the more difficult parts of this race is actually they eliminate about 25% of the paddlers, but how you do that is, I think, a trick, right?
Yeah, we video every finish, so we can always look back. In the beginnings, it's usually pretty easy because they spread out, but in those middle packs, it's hard to tell, so we have to count back and work our way up.
Yeah, and there you go. You can see our cameraman there in the front. He's got his GoPro on the back of his boat still. So Jonas is quite fast. Look at him go. So, and he's from Bellingham, is that right?
Yeah, he's from Bellingham.
Yeah, and then I think we're about to see the finals coming up here. And we have a few paddlers from Gig Harbor in the final here, but yeah, no surprise. Out in front is Jonas, and then I think second looks like Aaron Small. Who came in third?
I know Gannon Erickson was in the race, but I think ultimately Finn Connor got him out.
Yeah, Finn is a strong paddler. So, well, thank you so much, Coach Sadie, for joining us here. We'd also like to thank all the vendors. This is a big fundraiser for Gig Harbor. Tell us about how that works for fundraising.
Yeah, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it was bigger than ever. We had so many vendors, so many people register, and it really helps out the team. So thanks for all that had any part in making this a success, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, this is great, and this helps pay for boat engines and trailer fees and all that stuff to get to nationals. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and thanks for joining us here.